A cesarean section? It's not meaningful unless you go through the pain of childbirth.
My mother-in-law seems to be bad-mouthing me behind my back.
Raising a child must be hard.
Even the powdered milk she brought came with a smiling face. My husband says it's a form of harassment towards me. But something is off. I feel like my husband is deliberately keeping a distance between me and his mother. How? Why? What's my mother-in-law's real intention? My name is Patricia. I'm 28 years old and became a full-time housewife after getting married. I met my husband Nicholas at a blind date when we were both working. I joined a company in the neighboring state of my hometown. Since Nicholas's and my hometowns were the same, we naturally bonded. He's the kind of person who would immediately reach out to an elderly person in need, even while on a date. I respected him for being kind to me and others without discrimination. When he proposed, I could only see a happy and warm future. I was ecstatic. However, there was one problem. The typical mother-in-law issue. My mother-in-law didn't like that her only son was being taken away from her by me. She never allowed me into their home, both before and after marriage. Our meetings were always in a restaurant for just about an hour, with only trivial conversations.
Sorry, my mom isn't a bad person, but she's a bit sulky. Dad passed away and she's lonely.
When we meet and have meals, she has a soft demeanor and seems like a very nice person. However, my husband says he's given up because there seems to be various things said behind my back. I understand my husband's explanation, but even if she sulks, it's too much. So, during Thanksgiving and New Year, only my husband goes to his parents' house. I spend those times alone at home to avoid causing worry to my parents. I always spent time alone, feeling lonely at home. As time passed, we, as a couple, had a child, a healthy girl named Madeline. Shortly after giving birth, my mother-in-law suddenly visited us.
Thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't help during your pregnancy. You had a cesarean section, right? Is it still painful? Don't push yourself too hard. Rely on my son for anything.
I gave birth through a cesarean section due to a breech birth. However, despite my mother-in-law's seemingly polite concern, I felt irritated as my husband had told me she has said it's not meaningful unless you go through the pain of childbirth.
Oh, I don't plan to stay long. I brought some things, so I'll leave them here.
Saying that, my mother-in-law took out diapers and baby clothes.
Also, powdered milk. It makes things easier.
My mother-in-law left in a hurry after about 15 minutes. I was disappointed once again by the extremely short visit, wondering if she had no interest in her grandchild. Still, I was grateful for the powdered milk. My breast milk supply wasn't great, and my daughter was struggling to put on weight. At that time, my daughter seemed hungry, and night crying increased. I was tired, unable to get enough sleep. Maybe I should allow myself to rely on this. While gazing at the can of powdered milk with such thoughts, my husband swiftly took it away.
Don't ever use this stuff.
What? Why? My husband sighed heavily when I asked him curiously.
Mom has old-fashioned thoughts. We absolutely can't allow raising the child with powdered milk. If you use this, people will talk bad about us everywhere. She brought it with ill intentions,
my husband said. I dumped the entire contents down the kitchen sink. I see. Maybe that's true. I remembered all the bad things my mother-in-law had said about me that my husband had told me, and I was convinced. Such coyness for the sake of meanness. In response to my mother-in-law, I continued breastfeeding, sacrificing sleep. Unfortunately, my daughter's weight started to increase. However, the night crying continued unchanged. My husband's work became busier, and overnight business trips increased. Due to the sleep deprivation from solo parenting, my body and mind were exhausted and worn out. One day, as my daughter was starting to nap, there was a knock at the door. I tensed, thinking she might wake up, but she continued to sleep peacefully. Even though I had intended to take a nap myself, suppressing the feeling of wanting to cry, I opened the front door, only to find my mother-in-law standing there. Worst case scenario. What did she come for? It was the first time she came when my husband wasn't around. Is she going to make sarcastic remarks directly? However, my mother-in-law, upon seeing me, had a surprised expression.
You look pale. Go to sleep. I'll watch over Madeline.
I was gently pushed towards the bedroom. Are you sure? I wondered if something might happen. Bad thoughts crossed my mind, but I was on the verge of fainting. I collapsed onto the bed in the bedroom and fell into a deep sleep. After a while, I heard my daughter's laughter and woke up. Outside the window was pitch black. It seemed like I had slept for about 5 hours. In a hurry, I went to the living room, and my smiling daughter was being held by my mother-in-law. I'm sorry, I slept deeply. It's okay now. Thank you very much. Relieved that nothing had happened, I expressed my gratitude.
You seem to have slept well. Madeline is such a good girl. Everything is fine. What about Nicholas today?
He won't be back today. He's on a business trip.
I see.
It seems like my mother-in-law is contemplating something.
Patricia, you must be hungry. I brought some food. I'm not sure if it'll suit your taste, but let's eat. I'll use the kitchen.
Oh. Coincidentally, my stomach growled loudly. My mother-in-law chuckled and stood up. Oh, it's dirty. As I panicked, my mother-in-law raised her thumb.
That's normal. Raising a baby is a significant achievement. Take your time.
Thank you very much. Caught off guard by this unexpected interaction with my mother-in-law, I was left in bewilderment. Huh? Is this another act of harassment my husband told me about? Is she a hell of an actor? Is she a really nice person? My mind was filled with question marks. Then the two of us sat around the dining table. When Madeline started fussing, my mother-in-law said,
It's okay, shh, it's okay.
She took Madeline in her arms, allowing me to continue eating. Eating a warm meal slowly like this. When was the last time? And the food was unexpectedly delicious. The words slipped out of my mouth. Upon hearing those words, my mother-in-law showed a relieved expression.
I'm glad it suits your taste. I'm sorry for dropping by suddenly. You looked really tired, so I got worried.
I hadn't posted anything on the child photo sharing app for about 2 weeks due to parenting fatigue. My mother-in-law noticed and came over out of concern.
No matter how many times I ask Nicholas, he always says, it's okay, you don't need to come, and that you dislike me. Oh, I'm sorry,
She realized she'd slipped up with her words, and I was surprised. Huh? What do you mean? I've never said anything like that. On the contrary, I thought you didn't like me. We both looked at each other with wide eyes. We had talked so far, and there hadn't been anything unpleasant. Instead, it felt like chatting with my own mother, and I was relaxed. My mother-in-law wasn't the bad person my husband had described. What's going on? This misunderstanding had only one cause. My mother-in-law seemed to realize that too. Nicholas? At that moment, our daughter started crying, and her voice brought us back to reality.
Oh, it's late. I have something to do tomorrow, so I'll leave for today.
We parted ways today, in confusion, exchanged phone numbers. On another day, I visited my mother-in-law's house.
I'm sorry for inviting you over for the first time. This might be because of my son.
He said you didn't want me to come into the house.
Huh?
My mother-in-law let out a small scream.
No. I've been telling him to bring you along. When I heard that you didn't want to come, it seems there was a big misunderstanding, thanks to my son.
My mother-in-law looked sad as she sighed. My mother-in-law's house was a cute home with a white-based theme, perfectly matching my taste. As she led me into the living room, my eyes were drawn to a book placed in the corner of the room. It was a parenting magazine. My mother-in-law, noticing my reaction, seemed a little embarrassed.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have bought something like this for my grandchild.
When I asked, I found out that my mother-in-law had been studying recent childcare trends. So she had a good understanding that using powdered milk was common now.
In that magazine's feature story, it said that grandparents shouldn't frequently visit their daughter-in-law's child. It says that even if you go there, it's not a good idea to stay for a long time. Besides, my son told me you hated me. It's taken me a while to realize that. I'm sorry you had to go through so much pain.
The apologetic look on my mother-in-law's face made my chest tighten. The hatchet in me disappears as my trust in my mother-in-law grows stronger. My suspicion and distrust of my husband grew stronger and stronger.
My son is the only child we conceived after infertility treatment. Maybe I spoiled him too much.
As I heard more and more stories, I've learned that he often claimed to be on a business trip, but actually stayed at his parents' house. He's been staying with his mother a lot lately. My mother-in-law sighed.
We need to have a serious talk about my son.
Saying this, she frowned. I had longed for a closer relationship with my husband and resented him for it. Why is all this happening? With suspicions about my husband in my heart, I returned home. On that day, my husband came home as usual.
I'm back, and here is a souvenir.
He handed me a souvenir from his business trip with a smile. You know, today Madeline did...
Oh, sorry. I'm tired.
He is a kind husband, but lately things have been like this. Even when I try to talk about our child, he doesn't seem interested. Before, I used to ignore it, saying, yes, you must be tired. But now, after resolving the misunderstanding with my mother-in-law, suspicions are piling up. Also, about your mother. I want to get along with her. At those words, my usually calm husband glared at me.
Mom says she doesn't like you, right?
Saying that, he went into the bath. Left alone in the living room, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. What is making you like this? I was at a point in my life when I was struggling to make sense of it all. Then my husband's phone, left on the table, beeped a notification. I usually don't pay attention, but today, I had a bad feeling and checked the screen.
Let me know when you come this way again.
A message with a heart mark was displayed. I felt dizzy. My husband's phone was easily unlocked with his birthday, and it revealed multiple exchanges with women. He was corresponding with several women, and I looked at their profiles to see what kind of women they might be. I noticed something. First, I took a screenshot of my husband's phone screen with my own phone. All right, time to consult with Mom. The following week, my husband said he had a business trip and went to work. I also left the house with my daughter, heading to my mother-in-law's house.
Nicholas is supposed to come home in the evening.
When I explained the situation to my mother-in-law, she predictably replied, yes, today's the day my husband is going back to his parents' house for a business trip. Arriving at my mother-in-law's house, I eat the meatball spaghetti she made. It's delicious. Please teach me how to make it next time. With my words, my mother-in-law smiled.
Of course. Oh, it feels like I've gained a daughter. I'm so happy.
The misunderstanding was cleared up, and we became closer and closer as if to make up for all the time we had not spent together. Of course, without telling my husband, my daughter Madeline has become completely attached to her grandmother. She looks so happy to be cuddled.
Baby girls have a fluffy and nice smile, don't they? So cute.
Watching my mother-in-law happily holding her granddaughter, I also felt warm. As we were spending that time,
I'm home,
my husband returned. I was preparing to confront my husband, but both my daughter and I hid in the back room of the living room for now.
Welcome back, Nicholas.
I'm home, Mom. Coming back to my parents' house is really nice.
Unaware that my daughter and I were there, my husband was carefree.
You frequently come back to your parents' house. Are Patricia and the child okay?
Oh, come on. I came all the way to my parents' house. Don't talk about Patricia. She hates you, Mom, right? She's busy with childcare, but she doesn't do any housework at all.
Is that so? Carrying a small baby. Do you think she can do housework properly?
Huh? Haven't you been supporting Patricia a lot lately? Stop it, Mom.
Listening to the conversation, I trembled that my husband spoke about me like this.
I haven't finished work yet. I have a meeting with people from the company, so keep it quiet.
Saying that, my husband opened his computer, put on headphones, and started an online meeting. My mother-in-law began washing dishes, and my husband, whether annoyed by the noise or not, entered the room where my daughter and I were.
Huh?
Seeing me and my daughter, my husband opened his mouth wide.
I'll be back in a moment.
Saying that, my husband turned off the camera and audio, placing the computer on the nearby table.
Why is Patricia here?
My husband was surprised. I heard everything. So this is what you've been thinking about me. And you lied to both your mother and me, right? Explain to me what's going on. I quietly said this. My husband sighed.
I'm a good husband at home, so don't make a fuss. A single mother can take care of me. I thought Mom would be happy if I got married and had a child. I didn't like the idea of you and Mom getting along well. I didn't want my baby to have my mom all to herself.
Huh? Disgusting. I didn't want to know, but there's no mistake. This person is a severe mama's boy. At that moment,
how can you say such disgusting things? It gave me goosebumps. I thought you were a kind son, but this is wrong.
An angry voice resounded. Turning around, my mother-in-law, with the same expression as me, stood there.
Mom, don't say such terrible things. Am I not enough for you, Mom? Aren't I a good son? And why is Patricia here? You've been sneaking around behind my back.
My husband pleaded tearfully. I couldn't stop the chills. I have nothing left of this man. I showed her the screenshots of my husband's app that I had taken the other day. You've been doing some pretty lax things behind my back, haven't you? My husband's face turns pale.
This is...
Explain yourself, Nicholas.
My mother-in-law sharply demanded.
It's just that Mom has been cold lately.
My husband started crying. Displayed on the screen was a mature woman my husband had been in contact with on a dating app. The mama's boy, feeling neglected by his own mother, had sought comfort from mature women. It was too disgusting, and I wanted to say goodbye as soon as possible.
Mom! Mom!
My husband wailed, gradually losing composure. As I began to wonder how to settle the situation, an unbelievable scene caught my eye. Huh? My voice made both my mother-in-law and husband stop. My husband, who should have turned off his computer, was tinkering with it. On the screen, beyond the joyful figure of our daughter, both the video and sound were on. Recently, my daughter had started playing with my computer.
Isn't this bad? He's a mama's boy. It's disgusting.
The screen was buzzing with activity. Upon checking, it seemed to be my husband's colleagues from the online meeting. His embarrassing actions were now exposed to the entire company. Well done, my daughter. I silently applauded in my mind. My husband hurriedly turned off the computer, but it was already too late. He slumped down on the spot, looking helpless. Prompted by my mother-in-law, I left the prepared divorce agreement on the table and left the house.
Wait, divorce?
My husband chased after me, but my father, who had come to pick me up, delivered a silent slap. Without looking back, I got into my father's car. Returning home for the first time in a while, I told my parents everything and rested. A few days later, while packing my things at our house, my mother-in-law came to see me with a signed divorce agreement.
I'm sorry for letting you marry such a son. It was a short time, but I enjoyed getting along with you. Madeline is so cute. I was happy.
Saying this, my mother-in-law gently pinched Madeline's cheek, with tears in her eyes. I had a great time too. I'm glad the misunderstanding was cleared up. And I haven't learned your cooking yet, so can I continue visiting? When I said that, my mother-in-law's face lit up.
Is that okay?
Of course. I don't want to see Nicholas, but I really love you. And so I continued to have a relationship with my mother-in-law. As for Nicholas, after his outrageous mama's boy behavior became known in the company, he resigned abruptly, seemingly running away. He tried to plead with his mother, but she rejected him instantly. Now he's living on a rural farm in worse conditions than the cows, it seems. As for me, I now call my ex-mother-in-law Miranda, and we have regular interactions.
So, what are we making today? How about paella?
I love that. Let's make it with plenty of shrimp.
Sounds good.
Our carefree, joyful conversation echoes through the air.